Okay guys, here's the latest project I've been working on. Another cabinet. This one was actually done because a friend of mine wanted one. So basically he was buying all the parts for it and I did all the work. So he's got himself an arcade cabinet now. He's just waiting for him to get a place to put it. But this is another one of the mini ones. This one's sort of loosely based off of the Nintendo style cabinet. If you look at the profile here, you might recognize it from vaguely from the Donkey Kong cabinets or the Popeye cabinets or whatever. But it's sort of modified because rather than having the screen like in the front of it or whatever, if you notice, it's kind of sunk in instead of all up at the front. So this allowed me to put the speakers in sort of a hidden spot up here at the top rather than down underneath the control panel where the actual arcade ones are put. But yeah, this is another cabinet. A lot of people were wondering if I could make a video on how I go about doing these. This is going to be kind of a half video, half slideshow, or voiceover the slideshow to kind of tell you the steps that I did to make it. But yeah, here's the usual deal. This cabinet running all the usual stuff: Mame, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Neo Geo. This is Sengoku 3 right here. It's running on, got a 17-inch monitor on this one. This is basically put together with using a PC, kind of an older PC, and just a regular PC monitor, flat screen. I did the artwork here myself, just a little bit of Photoshop action on it, and printing over at Staples. All it is basically is a bunch of screenshots of different games that I like, and then around the button areas, so I had them like kind of templated out, I just numbered them and labeled them what they are, and then a little brief description on how to use the menu system. So basically, when we're in game and you want to get to the main menu again, you just hold start and select, and then what that does is it'll take you back to the main menu system, and you just select another game and just push button 1 to load it up. I'm using Mame for the Neo Geo on this one, mainly because the control setup on it wasn't allowing me to map the controls properly in KWAX, but it seems to be running just fine, so this is good. But yeah, just coin, start, and then get right into it. Pretty much just like the rest of them if you've seen my other videos. But yeah, it's really cool, and I'm sure he'll be happy to get one finally. It's one of my friends that I used to work with. The whole time I worked with them, I used to tell him all about the ones that I had, and I made a computer for him that was just for playing emulators on and everything, but he wanted to take it to the next step, so that's where this came in. So next I'll show you the control panel on it and how I wired that up and basically what I used for the input interface. Okay, here's the back side of the control panel. Basically we have each one of your buttons here wired up. It's a little messy, but once it's in the system you're not really going to even see it, so it doesn't really matter. There's the controller on the back side of it. And here is what I use for an interface. Some people may recognize this, some people may not. What this actually is an Xbox control pad. Basically the original Xbox, the older one that was competing with the PlayStation 2 at the time. Basically I just took it all apart and soldered wires to the different spots. I believe right there is the back and start buttons, and then over here is the ABXY buttons. Basically what you have to do here is just kind of grind off the section that has the ground on it, and you can basically solder anywhere on those traces, because you can just all you have to do is just get one good ground, which is that one right there, just off of any old spot, and then you just daisy chain all the grounds together to all the buttons. So works out pretty good that way. But yeah, and once you put the get to do the modification for the controller where you get it all wired up, then afterwards what you have to do is I'll have to get inside the cabinet and show you. So hold on one second. Here we are on the inside of the cabinet. Basically what we're looking at here is the back of the monitor. Right here in the center of the screen is actually the power switch and the various buttons for adjusting the brightness, contrast, and whatever. There's the connector that plugs it into the PC and the power. Shows you kind of how it's mounted in here. Basically the inner structure is a piece of wood, the hole cut out, and just some blocks to support the back of it. And you can see that the way this is held together, I probably have some other video where it's in daytime, but basically this thing is held together with nothing more than wood glue and woodworking staples, or brads, or whatever people call them. But it holds together really good. I could stand on top of this thing and it holds me pretty good. Back here, underneath the blue connector for the monitor, is the USB part of the cable for the controller. I was going to show you how it kind of works together with the Xbox controller interface, but I'm probably going to have to post some other videos along, or some pictures along with this, which you'll probably be seeing in a couple seconds here, just to show you how it's done. Alright, this diagram here kind of gives you an idea of what you would need to do. It's really as simple as cutting the end off of the Xbox controller that goes into the Xbox and kind of unsheathing the wires so you can expose them to the different colored wires that are on the inside there, and then doing the same on a USB keyboard or mouse or whatever you have laying around. Just make sure you have enough cable to work with, so that way you can either twist and tape the wires together. But basically, the Xbox original controllers are essentially USB controllers, just like the Xbox 360 ones were, but these work just as well, and there's a driver that works perfectly with Windows XP for those controllers. But anyway, since we're in here, basically here's the setup. It's just a normal PC. This is the main board right here. There's the power supply. There's the hard drive, and then here's the speaker setup. There's a subwoofer setup here, and up here are the two like mid-range, high-range speakers, and just a little power strip in here. But yeah, it's all running this. It's from one touch to turn it on. basically this button right here in the back. That's what's used to turn it on. You see it right there on the top. And just one button to turn it on, one button to turn it off. One new feature added to this cabinet by request to my friend is the ability to unplug the control panel here and to just use a regular Xbox controller. How this is done is pretty simple, although there's a little procedure you have to follow to do it. But if you notice, just underneath the control panel, I kind of did a little cutout here. It's kind of sloppy, but it's hidden underneath so you don't really see it. But if you notice, you can see the split there in the center of that. That's actually part of the Xbox controller. You can unplug that and plug in a controller for an Xbox, so you can just sit back in the chair and play it separately. So that's kind of nice. You just unplug those two halves, plug in the other controller, then turn it on, and you can sit back in your chair and don't have to worry about hunched over the control panel. Some games like Street Fighter and most Neo Geo fighting games, you definitely want to use the control panel on the system though to have the true arcade experience as far as being able to pull off the moves and things like that. But for some games that are on this thing, it requires a lot more time to play. So sitting back in your easy chair might be a better way to go about it. But for the most part, that's the system. And next what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of show you a slideshow and do a voiceover about the steps that I took to make this. And hopefully you maybe learned something from this, and if you get any questions, feel free to comment on the bottom here, and I'll do my best to answer your questions and help you guys along with whatever projects you have. Thanks for watching.